Well, the biggest thing then is the HVAC stuff. They're preserving the building through winter. So Tom, can you, well,
Well,
things haven't changed that much.
they
Can you
haven't
handle
they
that one?
haven't really changed. We got some estimates, and I think Tim might have used those estimates from Greg Hurst.
Yeah, I can't
It's
speak to
nothing.
that. Greg sent me a note and I reviewed that this morning before
Yeah,
before all this nonsense happened.
Okay,
yeah.
we
There's
are
not a lot new on that. So,
recording,
okay.
and I'm admitting everybody.
Okay, just keep your eyes out for Tracy coming on.
Oh,
Okay, some people still coming in. Randy, I'm having trouble seeing. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Well,
Are people still logging in?
a few.
Okay, let's give it a minute then.
sounds frustrating though, doesn't it?
Okay, it everybody that wanted in, I think, is in.
Okay, good enough. Okay, good evening. It's October 1st, 6:05 for a special board meeting. We have a couple of announcements, approval of the minutes. So let's start with the call to order. So Randy Vaughn,
Here.
Jan Welch,
Here.
sorry, can't get this out of, Chris Conti,
Here.
Tim Fritz,
Here,
Tom Deeds.
Here.
Okay, I think Greg is not going to be able to make it tonight, and Tracy should be logging in shortly. Okay, first item, Randy's, I believe you have some minutes.
Yes, I move we approve the minutes of September 7th, the meeting of September 17th. You received those by email a couple of days ago.
Second.
Seconded by Chris Conti. Any discussion, questions? Okay, then we'll call for a vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, 6-4. Okay. All right, second, then we'll move on to announcements. First item is Landmark. After a much delay, probably about 5 weeks, we finally got Landmark to get back to Sill with a counter offer. They haven't explained the counter offer. We're still waiting to find particular items, what they excluded or they're willing to pay for. Their offer was 3.9 million of the 10.5 to $11 million still outstanding on our policy. We're going to arrange, we have a phone call with Jason tomorrow, along with Isaac Heinz is invited to that also, trying to find out what's going on. We're well aware that the tolling agreement expires the end of the month. If we were not to get the extension, which they haven't said anything about that, then we would need a couple of weeks in order to prepare the legal papers and get that going. So that's what's going on there. I don't know if there are any questions to the owners about it.
They can't get the 11 million that we're due? Are we due 11 million
I'm sorry.
from landmark?
We're due to
That's right.
get, I think that we have about $45 million that we've received. I believe the rough numbers, and there's another 10 million for the policy of 55 million, or maybe it's a little bit under 45 million, 44 and a half. So that's where that's what we should be getting. And if people could raise their electronic hands as before, that makes it easier for me to know who has a question and who's asking. Jan?
So I think uh, perhaps it'll help you understand, we have $55 million worth of insurance. You know, they put that in different brackets and they have not yet approved all 55 million. So that's sort of loosely defined based on what they're offering less than that. They've suggested we just settle.
Of course.
John, maybe you can elaborate on that. I don't know.
And they're supposed to provide an itemized list of what they are excluding or what they're willing to settle for, but we have yet to receive that, but we're moving ahead anyway to call with Jason about that and to include the lawyers, because we all know the tolling agreement, we either have to settle by October 31st, which would take some time, or we have to have extension of the tolling agreement, or we have to file a lawsuit by the time that expires. Okay, second item, moving furniture out of the building. Randy, you were going to describe what's going on?
Yes, so we passed a motion, I don't know, month and a half, 2 months ago. Yesterday was the last day. Huh?
That's okay.
Yesterday was the last day to move furniture out of the building, and everybody had done that except for three owners who still have furniture in the building. So because of that, we approached those owners last week and explained that they had limited time to get things out. They are not out yet. We need to
Can
unmute.
somebody mute themselves? I'm not sure where the background noise is coming from.
I don't see anybody on the.
Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
Well, anyway, so we approached those people last week. Their furniture has not been moved. And
CH.CONTI 50.
I think that's Chris Conti.
Chris, are you?
I'm muting Chris. Okay, should be okay now.
All right, and yeah, so it all should have been out yesterday, and the three owners still have a lot of furniture there. They're not living in the unit, but they have their furniture there. The reason this has become an issue is we had an inspector, as you may have heard, we had a building inspector or a week or two ago who was quite concerned that the units looked to be that they were being lived in. And so, yeah, that's why we've pushed this. And we are going to, well, today, I guess, we initiated the violation process with these three owners. They received the first violation today, which constitutes of a just a warning, a formal warning. If they do not get their things out of the building in a few days, there will be a second warning violation filed against them, and then a third and a fourth on future days, each one with an ever increasing fine. the reason this is important is that, as I said, the building department can act against us if we don't get things out of the building when they're supposed to be there, be out. So that's where we are. So looking at the future, from today on, owners should only be in the building to pick up mail or to conduct some kind of official business with the office. And you may still, of course, get cabinets and appliances until November 15th. But to do that, you should contact Greg in the office and make arrangements, or Mickey, and make arrangements to reserve the elevator, the loading dock, and also to have a maintenance person accompany you to your unit to let you get into it. Yeah, I think that's where that stands now.
Thanks, Randy. I should add that I've been in communication with the three owners, and I think all three have made moves this week to remove a lot of their furniture. The freight elevator was on the fritz for a while, and so the part for that just came in, so the freight elevator should be operating tomorrow. I think Greg also put out a one call that with the decreased maintenance, we cannot accommodate people moving out on Sunday. So the procedure is what it always has been. Talk to Mickey and Greg, arrange to reserve it. If you don't have a reserve elevator, then either the dumpsters may be full from somebody else, or there may be trucks at the loading dock. So it really doesn't help things if you don't arrange that through Greg's office. So that's generally the situation, but things, some people, they have reserved, the three people have reserved some dates in the future, in the near future, within a week, and we're hopeful that their possessions will be out of the building. Any questions about that?
You said that way better than I did anyway, thanks.
For once. Okay. Moving along then, national marketing campaign. I guess I'll call on Randy again. You on the phone call. You want to give a brief introduction, and Jan and I can chime in.
Yeah, we met with Jordan Dickman of Millichap and or Marcus and Millichap today. The national marketing campaign, the call for offers on that was yesterday at the end of the business day. We received 12 offers from investors, even though it was a national call for offers. I think there was one from New Jersey that I recall, but most were from the region, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Columbus. Of those 12 offers, we've selected the 5 most favorable offers, and Jordan will email those 5 investors and let them know that they are still in the running and that they have until the end of the business day next Wednesday, a week from today, to submit their best and final offers. At that point, we will look over the final offers, and we'll be very shortly thereafter signing the letter of intent for what we consider to be the best, most favorable of the offers, whichever the best one is. Yeah, I think that's about the extent of that, isn't it?
I think so. We also have a summary of the process that we'll post on the website. Probably should be one called that generally describes what M&M, the realty firm, has done, so people get a better sense of what the process is. But yeah, that's where we're at this point, and we're hopeful we'll get a bid that has been well vetted, and we'll be able to select a final candidate by the end of next week. That's what I would expect.
Right. One of the things I felt pretty good about was the feel that Jordan Dickman had for the people or organizations who submitted bids. I mean, I think we're getting bids from people or organizations that can really make this happen. So I was very relieved at that.
Any questions from the owners? The range of the offers, I think that Jordan, he really didn't want to get into that, besides sharing that with us. So please bear with us. This is their initial offer. As Randy said, we'll be asking for the best and final offers, and they'll get that by Wednesday, and by Thursday morning, be able to give us a list of the top candidates, that Jordan gave us. But he has a lot of experience with all these firms. He knows the history of all of them. I think it was a very productive phone call. Paulette, again, I think we need 100% of all owners to agree to a sale. There's been no change from the legal advice we've gotten. Beyond the legal question on this, I think we have to realize that if we're selling the building, that when it comes to the final sale, no matter, even if we changed the declarations, we still would need a title released by the owner for their unit. And that'll be extremely difficult to do if people are not able to vote on it. There are two things I think are helpful. One is that we have talked with Ian Mitchell, the lawyer handling our cases, and we are trying to proceed with mediation. I think that both sides, plaintiff, defendants, want to get into mediation to resolve this. We're hopeful that defendants and plaintiffs, we can all get together and review this and hopefully launch into mediation. Two is that I think having a substantial offer that the board supports and agrees with through the process and the vetting procedure that M&M has done, that will allay, I think, other owners' fears about what kind of deal we're going to settle for, what we're going to agree to. So, and Paulette, yes, the realtors do know that that's the situation, and there is a period of due diligence once you sign the contract. There's still a period, I think it's 90 or even 120 days before closing happens. And so in that period of time, we are optimistic that the work that the committee has done and the owners have signed, that we are at 89% of the owners that will be able to basically to answer people's questions, and they'll be comfortable signing that.
Do you want the report of the consent to sell now, John, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, well, that does naturally flow. Might as well do that. Yes.
Okay. So, we have 158 votes in the consent to sell category, 22 to go. That is 88% or 12% remaining. Of those 22, 11 or 50% are waiting for have told us that they're waiting for an offer or have legal issues. I know those sound very different, and they are, but it's sometimes difficult to ascertain what the driving force behind someone is. So in a week, we'll have a good feeling for the offers, and we'll be able to circulate it. I think the leading offer or two, right, John? Within a fairly short period of time after that. Or I think
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah, hopefully. That's our goal. And we are working on the legal issues, even though those are different for different people. And we're setting up some meetings and doing everything we can possibly think of that's in our control.
And can I ask somebody on the board to monitor the chat to see what chat questions are there? Randy.
Yeah, there's one, you mentioned the lawsuits. There's one question about that. It said, has the board formally contacted all of the plaintiffs in each of the outstanding lawsuits.
Different directions. Here, but
Is it something about me or what?
No, it's an owner who wasn't muted. They're muted now.
Seems like every time. Okay. So anyway, has the board formally contacted all the plaintiffs in each of the outstanding lawsuits and offered mediation? Has mediation started? In which ones? Um, it- we cannot personally contact the plaintiffs and offer mediation. That it has to be done by our lawyer in conversation with their lawyer. We have asked our lawyer, Ian Mitchell, to offer mediation to discuss who should be the mediator. And as yet, I don't think that has happened. Is that correct?
I don't think they've chosen a mediator yet, but from what I understand of general discussion among owners, I think we have said publicly that we think the mediation should go forward. And we're reminding the lawyers what's going on with that. And at the same time, what I've heard is that I think the owners in general, on any particular question that they believe in, they want mediation to happen also. We want to resolve this case and sell the building. I think that's uniformly the owner's view. I'd say with CrossCreek, it's a good question. I don't think mediation has been approached with them. There was an offer, a counter offer, but that's a good idea to go forward with that. And with Burnham, we're evaluating that case as to what makes the most sense in that case with the insurance policies.
Okay, along that same line, will the board assure all the owners that any settlement with plaintiffs will not come from funds that should be shared by all owners? What will the board do if the D&O insurance will not pay to settle?
That's an absolute question. Certainly, I think it's the intention of the board not to spend any money in our reserves of insurance money for a settlement. But I can't say exactly what's gonna happen. Tim, you had your hand up.
There was a question earlier in the chat by Dylan that asked, what about the existing two offers? I guess the answer to that is they're being considered in the mix, right?
Yes, that's right.
And there's another question that's come up a couple times. When will the partition be stopped? And I think the answer to that is we can't stop the partition until we get all the signatures on the consent to sell. Is that correct?
I think that's correct.
That's
I mean, in the worst case scenario, which I think everybody has made the good case, that partition is going to be expensive. We have to pay, we have to still collect dues. We have to get insurance come July 1st, 2026. That it's in our interest to resolve the case and sell the building before then.
But basically, if we stop or pause the partition, it just extends it if we can't get the consent to sell. So there's really not a possibility to stop it. We need to continue on the parallel paths in order to expedite this through the system.
I think that's correct.
So what is the reason the other 11 owners, you want me to take that one, are saying they are not signing?
Sure, although I think it's 22.
The other 11, there are 11 who want to see an offer or have legal issues.
Okay.
The other 11, it's kind of varied. There are 3, I think, who have issues with their bank, and we're trying to work with them one-on-one. Their mortgage company, more or less. There are a few that we're just engaged in conversation with. And there are a few more that we've had difficulty establishing conversation with. But we're continuing to try. I don't know, that would be 9. There's probably a couple more in there somewhere. Anybody else on the committee want to chime in on that? I think it's just, it's painfully slow, I know, but we're really helpful. I mean, it's only 22. And I think, you know, when we get the offer, and that's selected, I think that's going to help a lot. The ones with the bank issues are going to have them with the partition action. Yeah, not a reason not to sign to sell. Yes.
And I should say that we have crunched the numbers of people's mortgages and liens combined, amounts in arrears, and there are really very few owners who'd be underwater. The mass majority, as far as first mortgages and amounts in arrears, the payout on an average of a $15 million sale and what we have now basically would compensate people to cover both of them.
And it says, sorry, no one has contacted me.
Yeah. And I think Randy answered that
Okay.
we have written correspondence that there has been correspondence back and forth about mediators. So, well, we understand there was some conversation. However, we're making sure any number of different ways we want to approach Ian Mitchell and CNA and saying, what's the progress, what's going on? And I should say, Tom, I think we should resurrect the idea of a weekly contact with Ian Mitchell.
I agree.
Tim?
So
John,
the
Tim?
question about have loans been filed on
Yeah,
all?
Mike, we just had the meeting today. Let me call you after we have our executive meeting. I'd rather not get into dialogue now. I know we haven't contacted you yet. Tim?
There's a question, have liens been filed on all the owners who are behind, specifically those who are holding us hostage, not signing to sell? Liens are being filed. We cannot prejudicially file liens. We have to file liens on everybody who's violated the terms of our HOA. So you can't specifically prejudicially file liens against certain people.
And I should add, with the amount of business going on, they have not been filed with everybody. I would say everybody who owes more than $8,000 has a lien filed on them. And as we raised the point, priority was the people with the highest liens. And we're proceeding with the owners who owe less than $8,000 to process liens on them too. I should say also, if there is a lien, people should contact me or Tracy. And I believe it's a simple motion by Isaac to lift it, but to lift it, basically there has to be a plan in place. And I think that was, again, one of the points of owners paying off monthly, every month, paying their fees, and at least, I think, about roughly 8.5% of their outstanding balance. And if they do that, then the lien can be lifted. But contact me or Tracy. Randy?
Another question. How much of our fee monies have been paid to the lawyers for defense around the other two lawsuits? I guess the Porter Croskery, how much have we paid lawyers to defend those?
We don't have the numbers, but I would say that the Finney Law Firm has given us bills so we could calculate that. As we pointed out when we paid the bills last meeting, that within 2 months, the bills of partition action were roughly about $70,000, and that far dwarfs any of the cases that we're working on. I would say Porter probably has the highest amount, and next Croskery and next Burnham. And in terms of people, the outstanding votes to sell are behind their dues. Some are and some aren't. You know, it crosses the gamut.
And
So-
did you say that our lead attorney in the two lawsuits is being paid by the CNA insurance company, not us?
Correct. That's correct.
And the question about people whose HOAs are current, exactly what is the process for having the lien removed? I'll respond to part of that question. There are, I think, 3 owners who have recently, they had been behind on their payments and have paid up. So we were very encouraged by that action. Regarding having the lien removed, John or someone else?
Yeah, as I said, people need to approach us. There has to be a regular payment because once we accept any payment, then the lien is lifted. So if people have paid off what outstanding balance completely, then just notify me. I'll have Greg run the ledger. The ledger for each individual person, each unit will show the fees and the payments. And if that is zero, then the lump sum payment of 90% of it, I don't think there's any problem in lifting a lien, and we can do that. Randy,
Another question, how many of the outstanding votes, meaning how many people that we have not received consent to sell forms from, how many of those people are behind in their dues? I can answer that. It doesn't matter. They still own their units, and we
They do.
can't sell their unit if they don't consent to that. Sorry.
so without getting into a back and forth, which I know there are different views on that, I think we should move the agenda. And the other one, preserving the building through winter. Tim and Tom. Tim, go ahead.
I can talk to that. I've had some conversations with Greg. We're still working with Hunt in order to transfer the permits over. We are ready to go. We have contacted 4-Star, who is the HVAC person who is working with Hunt. Our plan is to work with them directly in order to install units and basically repair the building to get it back to a state where it will be safe for the winter. Greg and Tim and John have drained a lot of the water in the building and have turned off a lot of water in the building. And we have a plan going forward on how many HVAC units we have to install. We got a letter from 4-Star today that they can begin immediately. As soon as we give them the go ahead, they can begin immediately installing units. And he said they can install 4 to 6 per week, and they can increase their manpower if they need to in order to install more. But basically our plan is to install 3 or 4. We need to run 3 or 4 HVAC units on each floor in order to keep the building safe and above temperature in the winter. And we've got a plan to do that. And basically what we need to do is we need to repair the units that were taken out by TRS on the middle floors from 8 to 16, and then use the units that are still installed from the lower level to the 7th floor, and use the units that are installed in the penthouse units. So we've got a plan to do that. We've got an estimate to do that. We've got a timeline to do that. We just need to get Hunt to sign over we're working with Hunt right now to sign over the permits so that 4-Star can do that under a permit of town properties.
Any questions about that? All right. Was there, Randy, this is really going back a little bit, but on the consent to sell, there's a question about whether we extend the contract M&M for a week.
Yeah, I have a motion that I could put forth if you want.
Sure.
Okay, be it resolved that we extend the exclusive marketing contract with Marcus and Millichap for an additional week until October 15th. And I'd like to speak to that if it's seconded.
I
I have a
second.
second. Jan seconds it. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, since the final call for best offers is next Wednesday, which is what, the 8th. And then we need at least a day, to look at those. That's the 9th. And then shortly thereafter, hopefully we will be able to accept one of those offers and go from there. But Marcus Millichap needs to be involved with that since they are going to get their fee for their help in all of this. And their contract as it is now ends on the 7th, which is next Tuesday. So we know that we're going to be going 3 or 4 days past that contract period as it is now. So that's the reason for the motion to extend it a week until October 15th.
Okay, are there any questions? The board and Tris?
Does it cost us any money to extend it a week? Yeah, would it make more sense to extend it 30 days?
We could, but it doesn't cost anything other than just guaranteeing the Marcus and Millichap that they get their fee.
Jan?
I think we want to get this over also, and he assured us that wouldn't be necessary. I mean, we could do 2 weeks maybe, but he also said there might be another way around that. But I also wondered if I don't know, John, Randy, Tim, any Chris, Tom, if anybody remembers what the fee is for the realtor.
Well, that was one of the chat questions, and he's
Okay.
not billing by time. He gets a commission. And I don't think the extension costs us any more money.
Right, okay.
Tom?
Yeah, if they say I understood the answer is they only need or want a week, so why give them any more than they want?
Well, actually, the way the discussion went today is that he might need more time because he needs to have a signed contract before the contract lapses. There are many ways around that.
Sure.
I just thought it was worth it for the owners to only extend for 1 week. And if we ask for another extension, which we might, at least we're asking for extension where we have a letter of intent or a contract that the owners see.
Yep, I don't see any reason to give them any more time than they want. If they need more, maybe they have to come back, but I'd like to press them to get this done.
Anybody else? All right, there's no more questions, then all those in favor. So the motion is, could you read the motion again, Randy?
Yeah, the motion is to extend the Marcus and Millichap contract for an additional week until October 15th.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay.
And that
6-0.
doesn't mean we're opening the process up again. We still have.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
Not
No,
at
it's
all.
just
It's all-
allowing the process to come to an end.
yeah.
Right. Okay, I think those were the announcements that we had.
John,
Yes,
Tim has a question.
Tim, sorry, Tim.
There was a chat question that came up because I didn't do a good job of explaining the HVAC situation. What I said was we need to transfer the permit over from Hunt to town. And somebody said, why, basically it said, why are we having a permit with town? And the situation is somebody has to have the permit to allow us to do the work. So the logical thing to do is to transfer the permit from Hunt to town properties so that Greg can administer the contract. And that's what we're working on doing, is we're turning it over so that we're cutting Hunt out as the middleman in the process. And we as Hammond North are doing business directly with 4-Star without Hunt taking their overhead in the middle. So I didn't do a good job of explaining that. Somebody has to have the permit, and we're trying to get the permit transferred over to town properties.
All right, I think we should move the agenda. And in Tracy's absence, I'll hand the chair over to, unless, does somebody have the bills handy that Tracy, the email? I mean, I pulled up one of the bills, so I could do some of them.
Well, they're listed on the agenda that you have.
Okay, can you?
And I
Yes.
have I have that list.
Okay, so Randy or Chris, do one of you want to propose a motion on any of the bills?
Okay, I move to approve invoice 3022, which is to TRS, dated 9/3/2025, for the sum of $6,918.09.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Randy seconds. Any comments on it?
I want to make a comment that this is really going to be the last TRS bill, right?
Yes.
I know it, I looked at it, I know it's for work that was really done, but it really is the last.
Yes, but Jan, you go, then I'll make a comment.
Well, and there was a lot of heated debate. We didn't, we were reluctant on this one because we said last month, as you all remember, I'm sure, that that was the last bill. And, so.
Yeah, I would say, and I should have said something at the last meeting when we approved the last bill, that the comment was made, it was the last bill. It was the last bill for the fans, and the fans, along with removing the hoist, were the biggest parts of TRS's bill. So it wasn't the last bill, but it was the last scrubber fan bill of $35,000 a month. So
And
there
we're
was
sorry for
misstatement.
that, because that's not good enough, in my opinion. But
I understand. So, any other comments? All right, all those in favor of the bill, raise your hand. Okay, that's 6-0. Okay. Okay, any other bills?
Okay, I move to approve and pay invoice 16080 to Hunt Construction, dated 8/26/2025, for $13,564.71. And this is for shaft cleaning, elevator, some elevator repairs and handrails.
Yeah, it may say shaft cleaning, but I don't think that is going on anywhere. I think it was basically putting up the rest of the wall board on the shafts that the city asked for us, but that's an interesting question. We should ask them. I don't think there was any cleaning of any shafts going on.
Okay.
We should,
We need a second.
yes. Okay, Randy seconds that.
so do you
Sorry.
want to defer it or?
I think we should go ahead and pay it. Yeah, I think these bills are basically from the end of August and we should pay them. Any other questions, board members?
Quick question. Does it say on the invoice the period over which the work was done?
It probably does. I don't have the invoice in front of me.
I read it.
I have it on the email that Tracy sent. It's July 1st to August. No, yes, July 1st to August 1st.
Okay.
It also has, I believe this is Bill 16080,
Correct.
that there was a question about the balcony railings, which there was added work that had to be done on them, that when the hoist came down, that some of the railing, fencing, and the swings got loose, got broken, and so they had to be fixed some more per city inspector. Jan?
So how close are we to this being the final Hunt bill?
At this point, I'm not going to step in and say it's anywhere it's close to it. It should be, but I don't think it is. I think that there are three things that Hunt is doing. One, when owners want to go to their units, that they make sure there are no safety hazards or that there's a railings or any open shafts. Number two is they still have the keys for the electrical cutout at all the meters for all the units from I believe the 8th floor and above. And so that lockout tagout has to be transferred to Town Properties and Greg. And three, offhand, there's a third thing they were doing. Part of it was the wall shafts, but those are the major. Oh, I know. Well, the other one is that they have the contract, so the 4-star construction, I don't think it's charging us, but they can't get in, and we're trying to get the contract, the permit to be transferred to Town Property, so they don't have control over that. But those are the jobs that they were doing currently.
But we have talked about skipping that, somehow getting them out of that step of having to escort you or check out spaces, because we already have our maintenance folks doing that.
I think that's correct. And I've been in contact a lot with Eric Govich, and he assured me that last Friday or Monday at the latest, we were going to get the agreement that they weren't liable for anything that happened once they signed over the permit. And I've been unable to reach him. And we have not gotten any of those agreements for where to go with this. So it's top of my agenda tomorrow morning to get that done with and transferred, and we can get the HVAC system installed, et cetera. Any more discussion about this bill? So I guess I'll call a vote for invoice 16080 for $13,564.71. All those in favor, raise your hand. And opposed? Okay, 5-1. That passes. Do you have any more invoices?
I do. I move to pay invoice 16081 dated 8/26/2025 for $13,530, and that is for Hunt construction staffing cost.
Do I have a second? Randy seconds for the purpose of discussion.
Exactly.
And was that over a different time period than the one previous?
It's the same time. Yeah, invoice the same date.
Yes. Any comments on this bill?
We don't know what it is.
What it is attached to the bill that we all got was a spreadsheet or printout of a spreadsheet that shows the hourly rate, number of hours that 4 different staff at Hunt who are still working on this project are working for. I had asked Eric Govich to get a couple of sentences on each one, what the job duties they are. I have not seen it yet, so I would prefer to personally to table this one until we do get that description of what the staff are doing. I think it's pretty clear Eric is fielding all the questions that we're doing now. Corbett is a much less time. He supervises Eric, and I believe, I forget the name of the staff who handles the bills. And so I understand that. I'm not sure who the 4th person is. Either way, I don't think it's for us to state. I think it's for the contractor to state what these staff are working on.
Okay, would you like to move to table this bill?
Whatever is the appropriate Robert's Rules method. Okay, so
It would be to move the table, yeah.
Okay, I'll move to table.
Second.
That's the second.
Okay,
Okay, I think that takes precedent.
it does.
So everybody in favor of tabling this bill, raise your hand. Okay, 6-0. Do you have another bill?
Okay, invoice 16082 from Hunt Construction dated 8/26/25 for $1,127.09, and this is for legal fees.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Jan seconds it. Any discussion?
And Isaac has said that we are responsible for this?
That's correct. There's been asked and answered. Some owners have questioned that, and I have to get them the contract in the section. I believe it's 7.6.9 of the contract that basically says that if there's a dispute between the owner and the contractor, except for a dispute between the owner and the contractor, that we are responsible for, I believe, arbitration, mediation, and legal costs, not damages. And I don't believe we would be responsible for damages. And that the definition of owner with a capital O throughout the contract is meant to be the homeowner association, not individual owners. So that's a legal interpretation we have. Randy.
That was going to clarify that. Yeah. That owner in that contract means the association, not an individual.
Any other discussion or questions? All right, call the question then. All those in favor of paying invoice 16082?
While holding your nose?
Yeah.
Okay. And all those opposed? Anybody abstain? 5-1 with Tim abstaining. Any other bills?
Okay, the next 5 are from Finney Law Firm. Can we put them all in one motion and do them at one time?
It's faster, but I don't think we should. I believe that they are. Do you have what each one is for?
I do not have any detail associated with these. You know, it's just what's here.
I believe we can if we specify. Tim, go ahead.
That's my only comment to this is that from everything that I've seen, Finney has been very proactive in defining what the monies are for and in minimizing expense wherever they can. So I just have, my only feeling is I have a great degree of faith in their invoicing practices. And I'm sorry that we don't have more detail.
Well, we may. I have a. When was this? Do you have an invoice number?
I have invoice number 45180 through invoice number 45184, and they're consecutive.
Okay. I have the bills in front of me, so I probably can say, let me just check. Yes, I can say what each one is.
Okay, so let's combine all these into one motion. Okay, so Finney Law Firm invoice 45180 dated September 19th for $2,506.50. Invoice 45181, same date, for $704. Invoice number 45182 for $422.50.
Can you
Invoice.
just wait, just pause there. And I'd say for the owners, that's a Burnham case. And the first one was for general work on the association.
Okay, how about the second one?
That's Burnham.
Third one. 45182.
Yes, and that is for Crossbury.
Okay. Invoice number 45183 for $1,575. What's that for?
That's Porter.
Okay. Invoice number 45184 for $22,897.57.
And that one is partition action.
Okay. So do we have a second?
I'll second.
Randy seconds. Tim, you had a question?
I don't have a question. And I think Michelle is going to say the same thing that I'm going to say. The majority of these invoices is partition action. So all you people who haven't signed your consent to sell, we just blew another $23,000 on partition action. Peace.
Any other questions from
Yeah,
board
and
members?
I have another comment to add to Tim's, which I agree with. That's $100 on average per unit that we just blew on partition. That's all.
All right, any other board members? I call on Michelle.
Thank you. I just want to say I'm very concerned about the tone in the chat right now. People are calling out previous board members. I understand people are angry, but this is a big problem because this is and implying that people did things underhandedly or illegally in some ways. To me, this is part of the problem with we're not able to get everyone to sign the consents. This type of chat is not helpful, and I would urge the board to turn the chat off because it's not helpful right now. This board is very generous with allowing people to raise their hands, and you've been very generous in allowing everyone to speak, which I greatly appreciate. But the chat is not helpful right now. It's actually demeaning and devaluing of other people. And I just got attacked, and I'm going to call it out, by Ginger Rhodes. Why haven't you gotten friends of the former board to sign? People are making all these assumptions that somehow some of us have some power over others. I will say unequivocally, I 100% without reservation support the people who are not signing the consent. They have a right to do that, just like people had the right to sue and do whatever they want. We live in a community. We don't get what we want. Am I happy about it? No. Am I frustrated by it? Of course. But we cannot expedite this because I will guarantee you, if people do not let this process play out, and Jan, I want to thank you for doing the work you're doing and calling people. This is hard. But if we don't let this play out the way it's going to play out and people get their questions answered and feel comfortable signing, we will be jumping right into another lawsuit. So can we all, for the sake of our community going forward, tone it down, stop accusing people of all sorts of stuff, and let's just try to work together, please. So I urge this board to turn the chat off. It is not helpful. Thank you.
We're almost ready to adjourn.
Yeah, but I think going forward, Jan, I'll ask you to really, this is something that's been ongoing in the chart. I mean, people have been attacking previous board members, previous owners by name in the chat. It is not helpful. And frankly, a personal, incredibly good friend of mine was attacked by somebody in chat previously. It caused me distress, caused her family distress for days. It's just a cruelty. It's absolutely unnecessary. Thank you.
I would say that I think Michelle's comments are well taken. We're a very divided community on any number of issues, and we have views. I think in general, we'll keep the chat available and people can talk. But I think the essence of Michelle's talking is calling people out by name. We all know how this all evolved. We've lived it. But I think it's a good point that please refrain from calling people out by name. It is not productive. And if we're going to move forward, we really should restrain ourselves a bit.
Hey, you want to call?
We're not going to respond to the name calling. So that's the bottom line.
Right. But I urge owners to try to refrain from it.
Okay.
So that is the agenda that we have.
Hold it. We have a motion on.
Wait.
We have a
Oh, sorry,
motion
sorry.
to pay
We had a
Finney
motion.
Law.
That's right.
Okay.
We have a motion for all the bills. My apologies.
Okay.
Any other board comments about the bills, the Finney bills? All right. Then I will call the vote. All those in favor of paying those Finney bills, raise their hand. Okay. And okay, so it's 6-6. Okay. So is that the last of the motions?
Yes.
Okay. All right, with that, we'll adjourn and we're going to adjourn to executive session. Thank you very much.